What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA
Wednesday, September 30th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, NBA Finals. Let's take a look at this NBA showdown between the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers. So I'm going to start off by going over the top 4 studs on the slate here, just so you guys can get all the stats, the projected ownership, projected points, pricing on both sites, and then I'll get into some of the value plays. So starting off at the top here, first stud we got on the slate is LeBron James from the LA Lakers, who's averaged 51.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He scored 73, 49, and 65 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 40, 38, and 37 minutes. He's going to be about 86% owned here, and he's projected at 54.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 15,500 FanDuel salary and 2,300 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 217.5 points scored in this game, so I like LeBron James here versus the Miami Heat. And the next stud on the slate, we got Anthony Davis from the LA Lakers. He's averaged 50.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. He scored 46, 51, and 31 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 40, and 42 minutes. He's going to be about 99% owned here tonight, almost 100% ownership for Anthony Davis. He's projected at 51.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 14,500 FanDuel salary and 2,500 less on DraftKings. So I like Anthony Davis here versus the Miami Heat. The next stud on the slate, we got Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. He's averaging 40.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He scored 57, 39, and 43 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 39, 38, and 40 minutes. He's going to be about 69% owned, projected at 43 fantasy points here tonight. He's 13,500 FanDuel salary and 2,900 less on DraftKings. So I like Bam Adebayo here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, and the last stud on the slate here, we got Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. He's averaging 41.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He scored 38, 42, and 44 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 39, 36, and 38 minutes. He's going to be about 36% owned here, and he's projected at 43.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's 14,000 FanDuel salary and 4,800 less on DraftKings. So I like that DraftKings price. So I like Jimmy Butler here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, now getting into some of the mid-range and the value plays here, coming off of the studs here, pick a couple of those studs and then fill your lineup with the rest of these plays. I like Goran Dragic from the Miami Heat, averaging 27.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. He scored 27, 30, and 37 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 35, and 39 minutes. He's going to be about 17% owned, projected at 30.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's $10,500 FanDuel salary and $1,900 less on DraftKings. So I like Goran Dragic here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, and then we got Another player I like here tonight is Jay Crowder from the Miami Heat. He's averaging 24.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He scored 24, 29, and 14 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 29, 32, and 30 minutes. He's going to be about 22% owned, projected at 26.2 fantasy points here tonight. He's $9,500 FanDuel salary and $3,300 less on DraftKings. So I like that DraftKings price. So I like Jay Crowder here versus the LA Lakers.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
And then I like Dwight Howard from the LA Lakers. He's averaged 20.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 19 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. But his minutes have really ramped up as of the last couple of games. Now, we're not certain that's going to continue here versus the Heat, but his salary's low enough for you to give him a shot. He scored 24, 30, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 35, 22, and 14 minutes. He's going to be about 17% owned here, projected at 21.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's $8,000 FanDuel salary and $3,000 less on DraftKings. So I like Dwight Howard here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, the next player I got for you, he's been hot. He had an off game. He returned to a pretty good fantasy game. This guy has a pretty big ceiling when he gets going, and he's got low ownership here tonight. So I like Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat. He's averaged 22.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. But take a look at his last 3 games. He scored 31, 17, and 48 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 29, and 35 minutes. He's going to be about 4% owned here tonight. He's projected at 28.2 fantasy points here tonight, and he's $11,000 FanDuel salary and $3,000 less on DraftKings. So I like Tyler Hero here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, now we're digging deep for some value plays here. I like Alex Caruso from the LA Lakers. He's averaged 14 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 18 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. His last 3 games, he scored 22, 12, and 13 fantasy points, playing 25, 20, and 24 minutes. He's going to be about 34% owned, projected at 18.3 fantasy points here tonight. Because his salary's low, he's only $7,000 FanDuel salary and $4,000 less on DraftKings. So you can fit this guy in your lineup, open up some salary. Hopefully he can get you 20 fantasy points or more. So I like Alex Caruso here versus the Miami Heat. And if you're looking for one more value play to fit into your lineup, well, there's actually 2 guys that I like here. So I like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope from the LA Lakers. He's been playing pretty well. He had an off game last game, only scored 8 fantasy points in 26 minutes. He's going to be about 20% owned, but he was consistently scoring 20 plus fantasy points in the games before that off game. So I think he makes a pretty nice low salary play to fill your lineup. And the other player that I like He's kind of a shot in the dark here, kind of a dart throw for me. He hasn't really played that well, but I just feel like a breakout game is coming for this guy. I like Kyle Kuzma from the LA Lakers. He's averaged 21.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He just hasn't played all that well in the playoffs yet, only scoring 16, 14, and 13 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 20, 18, and 26 minutes. Now he's going to be about 14% owned here because he is low salary. He's $8,000 FanDuel salary and $4,200 less on DraftKings. So he's projected at 17.2 fantasy points here tonight. So if you're looking for a player to make your lineup unique, who does have that 20 plus fantasy point upside when he gets going, take a look at Kyle Kuzma here versus the Miami Heat.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.